Super Rugby round number 11, folks. It is currently a miserable day here in Auckland, which is fitting because it was a miserable result at the weekend against the Reds for my guys. But the Chiefs and the Crusaders are still looking a cut above. The Hurricanes got a much-needed win, and Moana Pacifica are not that far off the playoff spots themselves with their victory over the BRUvHUR. We'll go through the results of the week that was, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how things are looking as we head into the kind of final few rounds of the competition with those top 6 spots, particularly kind of, 5th and 6th really looking pretty hotly contested. First game of the round was back on Friday at the Bay Oval. Anzac Day celebrations in place for pretty much all the games, which was pleasing to see. And Bay Oval packed. Obviously an oval is not ideal for watching rugby. A rectangle tends to work better, but the crowd was there in full force, and they saw the Chiefs put the force to the sword, 56 points to 22. We've seen it a few times this year where sides can kind of live with the Chiefs for the first half, but not so much the second. The Chiefs line-out struggled early, and the Force guys punished them. Kunzel went over early. The Chiefs hit back with a nice try to Narawa, and then the try, which virtually nobody saw live, was the first Harry Potter try, where Donaldson just took the restart quickly and Potter just flew down the wing before the Chiefs even had a chance to set. They certainly caught them napping, which will have everybody on alert when playing the Force, or I guess just generally that you can't afford to assume anything. We saw a couple of sides get caught napping this week, to be fair, but yeah, the Chiefs, despite the fact that it was competitive at halftime, and there was the BRUvHUR try as well. That was a bizarre one, where he scored it. The TMO was on the horn to the ref saying it's lost. So the ref played on with the TMO in his ear saying it's lost. But then when there was a stoppage in play for an injury later, they went to do the formal review under the guise of just explaining it to the captains and then awarded the try. After they'd gone all the way down the other end, it was, I feel like, a failure in the process, because if there wasn't a force injury, I'm not sure they would have had time to stop and do the formal review of the try. But anyway, the BRUvHUR try was given in the first half. Like I say, second half, the Force managed a second try through Potter. He's got some proper skills to kind of control the ball with the footwork, but the second half also saw Norris, Ratima, Jacobson, Rona run in tries for the Chiefs. So it was a pretty emphatic second half. It's a big old bonus point win for the Chiefs, despite the fact they had to kind of reshuffle their back line when they had injuries and whatnot. Satiti on his return was phenomenal. He doesn't look like he needs to build himself into any form. Looked real sharp. So yeah, really pleasing. Jacobson in good form, beat 5 defenders. Tizano's still making the tackles for the Force, 20 tackles from him, but not enough in their first of 2 games over here in NZ. Second game was across the ditch over in Brisbane, a wee bit wet, but the Reds punished the Blues 35 points to 21. The Blues line-out also struggled. The Blues made a lot of mistakes in this game. The TMO was also interjecting a fair bit in that game against my Blues. Every time the Blues had a potential chance, it feels like it got TMO'd. But we didn't help ourselves with a Mark Talia red card. To be honest, when I saw the Mark Talia red card tackle initially, I was like, that's a big hit. But then the more you look at it, the more it looks like he kind of tipped him. I try to defend it because it was just a big old hit. I could say maybe he landed on his shoulder, but if it had been done against my Blues players, I'd probably be saying he got dropped on his head. So, yeah, red card didn't help. But we scored through Eklund during the red card. But, I mean, the Reds had an early lead, a couple of tries through Liner. So, yeah, the Blues didn't play very well, folks. I'm scratching at reasons to find why we could have done better. I mean, the Reds did concede 8 penalties in their own half and didn't cop a yellow. If I'm really, really, really scratching at reasons, they could have had a yellow. But again, I don't think it makes a difference because our line-out was rubbish. And we just don't look sharp on attack. Like when you look at all the attacking numbers, yeah, things like defenders beaten and clean breaks. Like Mark Talia, I think, would have been top of those numbers last year. No, not this year. We're not seeing the Blues get their wingers into space. The tempo of the ball we feel like is a bit too slow. Clean breaks in this game is 4-0 to the Reds, not one line break for the Blues. That's pretty damning on the attacking shape that we got going. I mean, I think Knock, when he came on, added a bit of zip. He managed to score a try with a nice kind of snipe. But, McDermott had a nice snipe of his own. He got one. The Lockie Anderson one from line-out set play was pretty sweet. Asiata got one from a maul. Cygnus one at least took the bonus point away from the Reds. All I can say was we kind of played spoiler into the Reds getting a bonus point. So, yep. Lots of TMO'd and held up tries and whatnot for the Blues, but ultimately we didn't deserve to win. The Reds played better rugby, so needed win for them. I think they hadn't beaten the Blues in a few years, so good win for the Reds on Friday night. Saturday games, Moana Pacifica and the Drua. That's a really important win for Moana Pacifica. Keeps their playoff hopes alive, and they were at home. Good crowd out there, very vocal. Survived, you feel like, an early onslaught from the Drua to keep things scoreless for like 20 minutes. And then Toala and Whailangi went over for tries for Moana Pacifica before half-time. And then Tailoa got one as well. So it was actually looking relatively comfortable for the Moana boys come half-time. How the Drua had not scored, yeah, they'll be frustrated. They'll be frustrated with that one. Second half, after it being 17-0 at half-time, there was a try, potentially of the season, chalked off. Adi Savia, that guy is a freak of a player. He barely took the ball in his hands, and then they showed it in the highlights package, which is pleasing, because it was a hell of a try, and then kicked through, gathered, scored the try in the corner, and then TMO again. TMO got on the horn and called it back for a knock-on by Havili way back. So, yeah, I was watching that game with my parents, and my mum basically stormed off and said something like, "This is why people hate the TMO," when that glorious Adi Savia try was chalked off for a knock-on way in the build-up. So I guess technically correct, but that's a brutal one to have that chalked off, because that was a silky bit of skills from Adi. Julian got one not long later to kind of make up for it, but still sucks that try wasn't given. The Drua guys did get a couple of tries. Ikanaveri and Rakuro got tries. Ikanaveri's one was pretty nice, but it's another story of defeat on the road for them. It's another story about missed chances, and it's a bonus point win for Moana Pacifica. Clean breaks. Remember, the Blues game was 4-0 to the Reds. This game was like 7-5, so a lot more open, a little bit less kicking in this game. A few offloads, 8-5, so that's pretty pleasing. Tavita Orfa had 4 clean breaks. Nasila Sila made 14 tackles for the Drua, but yeah, on the road, they are still a team that struggles big time. The next one, the Landers and the Crusaders, 43 points to 10. I know people always give Super Rugby grief about defense is optional. They need to watch this game, because the Crusaders' defensive shift was unbelievable. 200 plus tackles from the Crusaders, and they still managed to score 43 points. Highlanders didn't miss many tackles either. Crusaders just beat them. Some of the tries, like there might be one, like the Will Jordan skins one of the Highlanders guys for his first try. That one is genuinely, like, Will Jordan does that on the international level as well. There's nothing real, like, head and hands shameful about that one. Havili tip pass to set up the second Will Jordan try. It's just able to get the space to beat the Highlanders' defence. It's not like one-on-one kind of defensive mistakes there. And the Crusaders' defence, man, Christie made 30, I believe, out of 30 tackles. Barrett had 23, Taylor had 22. You had many Crusaders guys topping the 20 tackle count. And 20 is usually the marker of a pretty phenomenal shift. So to get into the 30s is extra level special from Tom Christie. And he won a couple of turnovers as well. So massive defensive shift from the Crusaders wins the game. And then when they had their chances, like I said, Will Jordan got a couple. Corey Kello, hell of a winger's finish in the corner. Taylor got one from a maul. Nice play again, like nice. I can't really fault the Highlanders for not stopping that play, because it was pretty slick. Just quick pop passes from the maul when you think they're going to set and drive. They don't. And then he got kind of caught the Highlanders with their pants down one at the end on 80 minutes when the game was done. He just did a quick tap when there was a penalty 5 metres out from the Highlanders line. Fihaki's one is maybe the defensively worst one, I think, for the Landers, because that was just kind of, again, a poor one-on-one missed tackle. But they did get 2 tries of their own, Low and Lasanga, when they finally managed to get some space in the Crusaders' backfield. But she was a hard one. Even with the Crusaders getting the yellow card to Taylor, they couldn't break the Crusaders' defence down. So 43 points to 10. Home loss to the Highlanders against their rivals is never going to feel good. And then the last one, Hurricanes Brumbies. I think this one's game of the week. 35 points to 29. Multiple lead changes. Proctor back for the Canes. Geez, he was looking sharp. It was like 7-0, 7-5. At one point it was 15 all. There was just lead changes galore. I think that's what you want to see in a game. I think the Brumbies will be not happy with their defensive shift, genuinely, in this game. Like, Proctor was running riot, Naholo was running riot, busting tackles for fun. They'll be a bit frustrated with that. Alan Alatoa got the first try of the game, but Proctor hit back not long later. I mean, Reimer got one. He was maybe... it was Tuilima with the big hit. He was lucky not to get a red card. That one, not good. On Love. Jeepers, that one was a bad hit. I mean, there was the Theo Tompkinson one in the first game. That one had a bit of a genuine dip when he clattered into the Chiefs guy, but the Tuilima one was on Love was not a good look. I felt like they looked worse than the Talia one, but again, I got my Blues hat on with a bit of bias there. But Punivai bagged a couple, Naholo bagged a couple. It's good, really, really good, entertaining game. As I said, it's pleasing to see 2 of the sides, which have got a little bit of history between them, kind of going at it. The Canes, in terms of their position on the table, needed a win, and their record in Canberra in recent years has not been great, so the fact that they got it done was pretty good. And the stats back up their performance. I mean, 11 clean breaks to 5. They had 58% possession. They conceded half the penalties, 10-5, in Canberra. So, really, really pleasing from them. I mean, the Brumbies got some nice ones, like Ikitau from close range. Muirhead got one. So they scored some nice ones too, but I think the Canes were pretty good value for their win. And as they said in the kind of post-match, like, they've been on the end of a few close losses this season, so it was nice for them to kind of get one. 35 points to 29 is, it's a good half-full contest. So, I mean, it was Slipper who made 17 tackles for the Brumbies, but as I said, they missed a bunch. They must have missed like 40 odd in this game because there's 20 missed tackles just between Proctor and Naholo on their carries alone. How does this leave at the log with the Tars having the bye? Well, the Tars are not in the playoffs anymore. The Tars are into 7th. The Chiefs and Crusaders still top of the table, 37 points apiece. As I said, not much between them. They genuinely look a cut above because they're almost 10 points ahead of the chasing pack. Brumbies are on 29 with their loss. Reds are on 27, although they've only played 9 games. Every other team but the Tars has played 10. So the Reds have got a game in hand on the teams above them. The Hurricanes are on 22 and the Force are on 22. Those are the teams in the playoffs. 5th and 6th are really looking like the hotly contested ones. The Tars are a point behind on 21, but as I said, game in hand for them. So they could potentially sneak back above the Force or the Hurricanes if they win their next game. The Moana boys are on 20, the Blues are on 17, Landers on 17, and the Drua are on 11. I don't think the Blues are dead and buried yet, but they need some wins ASAP. How are things looking in the next week? Blues are playing the Force at home. Suddenly that one becomes a real must-win, and the Force could use some points on the road, because they are just hanging on to their spot by 1 point. And as I said, the Tars have got a game in hand on them. The Drua are facing the Reds. It's over in Suva, so not quite the challenge of Lautoka, but it'll be interesting to see if the Drua can get a win at home, where they have been better. But as I said, the Lautoka factor has tended to be the difference. The Hurricanes will play the Chiefs. That looks like it could be a cracker. And the Brumbies will take on the Waratahs. Also could be a cracker. Battle of the 2 bottom teams. Well, not 2 bottom teams because the Druas at the bottom, but Highlanders and Moana Pacifica. I mean, Moana Pacifica is an 8th mark. You're being a bit harsh. Battle of the 2 teams not in the playoffs. Highlanders and Moana Pacifica. So, yeah. The reason I said the Blues are not quite dead and buried yet is because we've got the BRUvHUR, we've got Moana, a bye, and the Waratahs. In my insane Blues mind, they all seem like winnable games. Force, BRUvHUR, Moana, bye, and then Waratahs. Just need to win all of those. Maybe we can kind of undeservingly sneak into the playoffs. We didn't play well at the weekend. Anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts on Super Rugby after 11 rounds. Crusaders, I feel like are looking pretty bloody good. But you guys take care and talk to you guys again soon. See you later.